sure you ain't thinking somebody up and they're going to take pictures while they're flying? Wait, did he turn?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out to the greatest show on turf here in Geneseo. This day is going to be huge, full of warbirds, full of talented pilots, full of rare aircraft. Now, ladies and gentlemen, piloting this airplane today is Scott Scooter Yost. The aircraft name, Quicksilver. The B-51, known as the 102-day wonder, was designed to first flight in October of 1940. This aircraft was a miracle of World War II. On the down line, you heard that aircraft coming in with its max speed of 440 miles per hour. You heard a whistle. Those whistles that you hear from the aircraft itself are known to be coming from the ground force on the side of the aircraft.
He was low there. You'll notice the last maneuver performed by Scooter in the aircraft was the 16
18-point hole distributed to Bob Hoover. The aircraft itself, flown by Scooter, as we mentioned before, he's a 2008 graduate of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University with a major in aviation maintenance science. He takes care of this family-owned by himself.
Looks good against those clouds when he turns, you know.
Aircraft to demonstrate their ability to fly the aircraft into combat. This aircraft is powered by the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. However, earlier iterations of the aircraft were powered by the Allison, but the Merlin was necessitated based upon the fact of high altitude missions, and the Allison ran out of air at that altitude. Now a quick story for you. How many of you have a Maytag washing machine at home? Seriously, raise your hands. Does anybody have a Maytag at home? Maytag actually built this airplane during the war. It was an off-site factory. They needed the help during the war. So then, the aircraft became known as the Maytag Mustang. Mustang story. You go home and tell all your friends you have a Mustang in your laundry room. That way, Scooter gets set up for his next pass. This is likely his last pass. Get those cameras up as the Mustang comes in for show right. Mustang! You'll find the P-51 Mustang on final approach. And your chance, ladies and gentlemen, if you go over into the flight line, we do keep the flight line open. And you do have the opportunity to go right up to the airplane, meet the pilots, see the aircraft, but give me one gigantic favor. Do not touch the aircraft. That's all we ask. And make sure to keep your eyes and ears open as Scooter gives us a beautiful wheel landing right here on the grass. You'll hear the popping sound too as the aircraft passes by. What that is unburned fuel in the exhaust pipes. The exhaust stacks are actually about 4 inches long on the side of the aircraft. In order to get the performance out of the aircraft, what they did is they made those exhaust stacks short. But when the throttle comes back, the unburned fuel falls out into the stacks, and you get that little bit of popping noise that you have, and that is perfectly normal. Make sure to check out all those great vendors and exhibitors here today. Your chance to check out some of the greatest items to be found on any airshow circuit is right here in Geneseo. Looking to the right, and just a bit high, you'll find Tom Richards in the Wildcat. Check it out. the operating tail gun of the American Skyliner, South Carolina. He is a professional airplane pilot. Very former, well over 30 years and 50,000 hours of flight time. About 10,000 hours of that is very active on the aircraft area. It flies aircraft Warhawk B-1, Force Wildcat here, and even Force here. Now, here at Geneseo, we like to say that the standard of what was out there at the national warplane, not only to welcome to the aircraft itself at first, but we're so happy to have so many different aircraft here, including Wildcats, B-51, Force Airmen, and more. Upgraded gun sight and rocket pack. The aircraft has a storied history. That means that it was actually a movie aircraft at one point. And after a series of civilian owners, the modifying gun is only purchased by the military to aviator Frank Holmes. Common, of course, famous for moving his aircraft out to Hollywood, working as a stunt pilot for France. Born Palmer's aviation, and was a fine source for stunt flying experience. Drama, the film, and our third job as airworthy for many of those years. California. Then sold to Tom Creature, owner of Air. And I was how he used to help him, including F-22 Bob Al-Plastic. He was a collector millionaire down the road. But then the restoration for the aircraft began in 2010. Unfortunately, it was in part until 2024.
Yeah.
What happened there? The aircraft was finished. What happened? How did we get the aircraft that's been sitting so long back into service? Well, that's the radiation that is Texas was tapped on the shoulder, and this aircraft was brought back to flying status and before you today. It's never been used for process. Cloud seeding. It is thought to be the lowest lifetime body Yes, this is a aircraft, and yes, the wing is over. You'll get an opportunity to see both of them up close. Check out the wings and the hard points and how things hold on this aircraft over in the flight line area. You'll get a chance also to talk to Tom Richards. Now ladies, if you're looking for a fighter pilot, I hear Tom's available. So that being said, make sure to introduce yourself to Tom and meet him over at the autograph tent. landing gear. Remember I told you about the trees? There's Tom hiding behind the trees. Now, if you'd like to learn how to fly a warbird, believe it or not, Tom can teach you. He has the American Sky Ranch out in South Carolina, and he teaches at Centaurias, which are learning to fly tandem seat, tailwheel, high-wing monoplanes. And then he'll move you into T6s, the advanced trainer, T6. And on the left, Tom Richard and the Wildcat. Man, he gives you the heebie-jeebies when he does that, doesn't he? Tom extracts everything he can out of the Wildcat. And when the aircraft lands just a little bit, take a good hard look at the landing gear, it scissors into the aircraft. That necessitated certain things on an aircraft carrier. In other words, it was compact. We wanted it to be tight and close in, holding wings. Same thing. The wings are actually manually folded. You'll get a chance to see that over on the flight line. Back around here and get Tom back on the wow. It's been an excellent show thus far. We've shown you the best of the Air Force, now some of the Navy, and we're going to turn to a home-built aircraft. It doesn't look like one, but it is. I'll explain more in just a couple of minutes. As we get ready to have Trevor Rafferty take to the runway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we talked about, we're going to have Trevor take to the runway, and he puts on a performance like no other. You get a chance to see one of the craziest guys I know. Trevor Rafferty hails out of Canada, and he comes down to do this show just for us today. He sits on the takeoff roll. You're going to see some displays of aerobatics with his Model 12 that will curl your hair. So hang tight for just a second here as we get ready to go with Trevor Rafferty.
Your regularly scheduled program for this special report.
Alright, so Trevor Rafferty immediately off the runway with the Pitt Model 12. He shoots us and he's on the road to Airshow right as the Corsair is inbound and he's carrying some heat. much more so. This is built by Goodyear. Yes, the same people that make the tires for your car back during the war. Many different companies got into making war machine efforts. But this was one of a Goodyear Corsair, though, is actually rare not only because it's built by Goodyear, but because it's got the larger engine. Now, the Corsair design itself first took flight in May of 1940. Now before you, ladies and gentlemen, you see a couple of T6s motoring on by. We'll explain those aircraft to you in just a couple of minutes. The Corsair is still in mid-flight showcasing, and at the end of the line, taxiing by is a BT-13. Looks like a T6, but not quite. Now, ladies and gentlemen, look to show left, and you'll see the Corsair inbound in landing configuration. Now remember, this was a carrier-based airplane. Not only did it have to be compact, and it's hard to say anything's compact about a Corsair at all. But not only did it need to be compact, but it had to be stopped on a carrier. So as the aircraft went by, your eyes catch the museum exhibits of the National Warplane.
Now he's coming in with smoke again.
Well, you're going to check those out at the far corner of the property. Photographers, lenses up, the Corsair is in from show right. Another great opportunity to see the Corsair show left a rare Corsair. Not known maintenance, so you have to work on a double row radial. So we're going to bring John back around, get him back to the turf. Landing, why would that be so different? Well, look at the long landing gear to support that huge propeller out front. It's robust, it's tough. Perhaps it's easy for a Corsair compared to carrier operations.
Perfect landing.
Nicely done. A big round of applause for John and the Corsair today.
Everybody, you saw me being
Goodyear
double
Corsair.
Yeah.
Alright, so as we recover the Corsair from the runway, we are greeted with a little bit of a breeze. That's good stuff. So one of the aircraft you saw fly earlier was a DC-17. Man, I've been here when that occurred, but it was really early. A lot of the guys go out and fly early because they love flying around Geneseo. That being said, that's an old biplane. That was a basic trainer, right? Or a primary trainer in that case. As you advance out of the biplane, hopefully you did watch out, you did all the correct maneuvers, you worked your way uphill. As you worked your way uphill, eventually you wanted to get to a Corsair, you wanted to get to a B-51. All the fighter pilots were, well, want to be fighter pilots, right? So that being said, started to head towards something like this. This is a T6 Texas. Welcome out to Geneseo if you're just getting here. The greatest show on turf, a whole day of fun, festivities, and flying. I'll tell you what, a notable person is not here today, understandably so. We lost Rob Holland earlier this year to a landing incident in Langley. Now that being said, Rob was very close to us here in Geneseo, and I'll call your attention to a couple of things. First of all, we have a hangar memorial set up. So those of you that knew about his flying, knew about Rob, knew about his interaction with kids, go check out the hangar memorial in the large museum hangar at the back of the property. Also, we'll be doing a missing man dedication. You'll see that in just a little bit. Another idea here for the kids, Rob was big on kids. So there's a Rob Holland coloring page in your program. If you haven't gotten a program yet, it's a small donation, and better yet, it enters you for an opportunity to win a ride in our very own Whiskey 7 here at Geneseo. So check that out, as well as our tribute page for Rob in the program. So stick around. We're getting ready to do the opening ceremonies. We're a little ahead of schedule. We're letting some folks get in. If you're just arriving, I'll remind you as well, get hydrated and get some sunscreen on. On the takeoff roll, from the left, ladies and gentlemen, is the Jack Nation demo team along with was an excellent person, and we miss him here in Geneseo as part of our flying family. A larger tribute coming a little later. And of course, Rob loves kids. We're going to do something with the kids, specifically for Rob. So get... showing demonstrated precision aerobatics in the air. It's the Jack Aces group. You're not going to want to miss out on that. Then we bring to you a fleet, yes, a fleet Model 2, an itty-bitty little biplane. But it's got such great history, and we'll tell you all about it. Don't forget, coming up after that, our big wall of fire. And it comes in with Tora, 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 signifying the entry to the war. Then, of course, Skipper in his AP-6 Texan, demonstrating everything it takes for a pilot to become a T-6 pilot back during the war. The S-Fire to the sky over Geneseo is right here at the greatest show on Earth. Find yourself a good seat. Get yourself a bottle of water from Wegmans. This is where it's at.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wendy Linebaugh, and I will be hanging out with you for your Jack Aces demonstration today. On behalf of our entire team, we are beyond excited to be here with you today, and it's been our privilege to honor our friend Rob. 2025 is our first season of the Blue Ship. We've worked tirelessly to put together an unforgettable performance for you today. There's nothing better than the sight and sound of a Mustang over a grass field. Because as always is meant to be. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you look behind you and to your right, your 2025 Jack Aces. Look to your left as the team comes back in for a big barrel roll. Now, some of you athletes out there might have realized you're flying two different variations of the P-51 today. Marco, like we just mentioned, is flying our P-51D model, which most of you recognize, while Ariel and Lou are flying a TF-51, which stands for Trainer Fighter, with both fuel control and both cockpits. Now, see if you can tell the difference between our Mustangs as they come back in for the iconic Mustang split. Now, keep your eyes on Louis and Ariel as they make position for a head-on drop. This is a historically difficult maneuver to master. It takes practice Now, look to your left as Marco comes in for his beautiful silver sequence, running Cheryl Lynn through a leap, a hop Cuban, and a barrel roll.
iconic aircraft of World War II.
Well, from the token, this guy finishes the back, waving to the crowd. Anyway, he had a cool, a brown B7. Burn up, what do they say? A gallon a minute when they take off?
When the plane is quiet because the taxi, not a takeoff.
We don't. And not only all these great companies that have helped us bring you the greatest show on turf, if you are a personal donor, if you support the National Warplane Museum, a gigantic thank you to you. And if you're looking for a way to support the National Warplane Museum, I've got an easy way for you to do it. Check this out. All you gotta do is buy a program. Buy a program. But I'll give you another catch within it. That being said, our very own Whiskey 7 was out earlier. You saw the jumpers come out of Whiskey 7. You want to catch a ride in Whiskey 7? Buy a program. Gets you a shot at exactly that. There's also plenty of great tributes in there, including one to Rob Holland, a coloring page dedicated to Rob Holland, because Rob was all about the kids. And of course, a whole page of great photos of what happened here at Geneseo. More to come in mere moments as we introduce you to a survivor from Pearl Harbor.
Enemy air raid, Pearl Harbor, not a December 7th, 1941. Imagine you were there that fateful morning. It started off as a peaceful Sunday morning over 80 years ago in Pearl Harbor and Hickam Field on the Hawaiian island of Oahu. Our entire naval base has awakened with most of the fleet peacefully anchored within the confines of the harbor. Experience the roar of the engines and the sound of the bombs as the Imperial Japanese approaches, and with the break in formation, launches the first wave of 189 fighters and bombers from Japan's first air fleet, led by Captain Koshi. The that the coded defense signal, Tora, Tora, Tora. The back to the very The single remote radar station had spotted the incoming raiders, but mistook them for a flight of B-17s due in from the mainland. The B-17s arrive, and like America herself, find themselves in the The attack was from the Japanese aircraft carrier, Akagi, Akaga, Hiru, Soru, and the tuna carriers, the Shotoku and the Suikuku. The plan was simple: destroy the Pacific Fleet. The raid hours. Yes, you have a front row seat in the Pacific Theater as the story of the attack on Pearl Harbor unfolds. When the first bombs began to fall, all of the island jumped into action. At Wheeler Field, Lieutenant Bill Gustafson woke the assembly hall, jumping out of the 45,000 over his mother.
exploded, except for this Sunday morning. The Japanese Zeros and Bells bombed the exposed airplanes. Most of them were on fire or destroyed, except for a couple of P-36 Hawks. Rasmussen was joined by 4 more P-36 Hawks. Pilots Sanders, Gary Brown, William Finley, and Nelson Whitemore. They took off to engage the attacking Japanese and managed to shoot down a few of their Zeros, Bells, and K's. The enemy number 8 aircraft was successfully overrun. If you look left, you'll see our P-36 chasing down the Zero. Meanwhile, these brave pilots, still in their formal dress clothes, raced to a couple of P-40 Warhawks and got them fueled and armed and took off. They quickly found themselves in the middle of a real battle. These pilots caught up with the Japanese close to Pearl Harbor and Geneseo and engaged the Zero, Bell, and Kate, which rounds from their 30 target machines. However, they quickly ran out of ammunition. Luckily, they were able to land at Wheeler Field, which is near the center of the island. They refilled and reloaded with 30 and 50 caliber ammo and took off once again to fight the Japanese. The 2 pilots are credited with downing the Japanese warplanes before their own ships. Those pilots received a Distinguished Service Cross for their actions that are today. A total of 500 people sadly 188 were completely destroyed. 159 damaged and just 155 of our aircraft lay on the ground in various states of disrepair. The first wave of 189 Japanese Zeros, Bells, and Capes hammered Hawaii for almost an hour. Then came the second wave of an additional 171 aircraft to continue the strafing, bombing, and dropping of torpedoes for yet another 7 days. Yes, a total of 350 warplanes. As the attack proceeded at Pearl Harbor and Hickenville, the devastation was horrifying. On the eastern edge of Rhode Island, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Tennessee, Maryland, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Utah, and the Arizona. Luckily, at the time, our 3 Pacific aircraft carriers were out at sea. First, the Japanese gave us 822 guns. The initial wave of tanks hit 5 of our battleships to Oklahoma, California, Nevada, West Virginia, and Utah. These tanks especially equipped were shallow-running torpedoes, specifically designed for the attack on you see the shallow waters of Pearl Harbor would not allow the use of normal deep-running torpedoes, which leaves no question that this was a well-thought-out plan and not a surprise attack. Then came the Bell dive bomber, armed with 1,700 pounds of water. These planes dived down onto the Nevada and the Arizona. Anti-aircraft fire veered the Bells away from the Nevada on the first wave, but unfortunately, the Arizona was not that way. A bomb from a 6-torpedo bomber stabbed the Arizona through her forward magazine and exploded, torching off more than 1 million pounds of gunpowder. Sailors on the Nevada watched in horror as the Arizona some 20 feet in the air and broke in two, forever in progress. 1,178 American service and number 1. As a reminder to all of those who lost their lives that infamous day. At Marine Corps Air Station Eagle, a 9-barrel attack station, 45 caliber pistol, and began firing on enemy targets. The Japanese pilot saw Thompson firing back at them. Years later, Shiger remembered Thompson's tenacity and fighting spirit, describing him as the bravest American I've ever seen. All over the island, soldiers were bringing their weapons to bear and fight. Anything they could get working. Their 45 caliber pistols or sometimes spring-filled rifles. In some cases, soldiers were able to get 30 and eastern coast of the island. More U.S. Army pilots were racing to their B-40s. Unfortunately, Japanese Zeros appeared at the same time and started tracing them. One P-40 pilot was killed as he stepped into the cockpit. Two other P-40s were shot down just as they got off the ground. A flight of 12 B-17s coming from the mainland finally arrived and were immediately attacked by the Germans. Fortunately, all the computers, the B-17s were shot up by friends and foes. The fighting crews landed wherever they could. One of them was all the way to air war. Out of gas, unarmed, and no place. Basically, though, 8 of those B-17s actually made it to Hickenfield. We are there. At the conclusion of the surprise Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, more than half of America's entire naval fleet had been destroyed or damaged. Nearly 20.
Our young hopeful is on. They failed to cram their stage box to demonstrate the excellent control aircraft growing situation. Government documents are data driven by the those years in 1962 are the Army War. Taken as 1942 month 2, she represents all the
early ones had a big hub on it.
Gave harder to flew during the war. And all the men that flew in here to be trained as well.
Uh-huh.
Early pictures.
Though it is doubtful we will ever see anything that compares to that that took place in the 40s, as strategic bombing gives way to drones and helicopters in Iraq and Afghanistan. Still, it's within living memory that this is the sky's thousands of nations fought major battles 5 miles high. To them, we say thank you.
Let me get pictures first before he flies.
See the manual or second?
They flew in the world flying, I think.
It's like the one we fit with our picture kit and the other people that take the job.
Skipper back to the greatest show on turf here on land now. We'll get him back on the ground. It was great to see him bring us a way to get through a pilot check with an AT-6, the advanced trainer before you, the pilot maker.
No, actually over the years
And what a wonderful landing there by Skipper Heil. Now Skipper should be over at the autograph tent in just a little bit. Your chance to meet him, get an autograph, say hello, get your program signed. Here we go.
Take off?
Yes.
Roll?
Yeah. He's coming.
As you can tell, the Helldiver's not in a real hurry to do much anything. Kind of loafers off the runway, and it's kind of surprising that it did carrier operations, right? This is one of 3 in airworthy condition. It is a mammoth airplane. It really is. Get up close to it and take a good hard look at it. They had all kinds of nicknames for it. Big-tailed beast, or just beast in general. Two-seat. And then there's another one I can't represent here in front of you because the kids are here. But just start taking the 2BC and start making analogies to it, and you'll get where we're going. Alright, now the Helldiver's picking up some pace out there. Now, it had a crew of 2 and a wingspan of nearly 50 feet. It stands more than 30 Geneseo. Coming downhill, Ed pushes the nose over. Let's see what the Helldiver will do for us. And that being said, this airplane doesn't take lightly to be pushed around. Now, performance itself had a maximum speed just close to 300 miles an hour. And a lot of that had to do with the diving part of what the Helldiver did. Move through the air. Get a good hard bead on whatever it was going after, drop it, and get the heck out of Dodge. Believe it or not, he was investigated by the Truman Committee, which turned in a scathing report against the aircraft. Actually contributed to the decline of Curtiss as a company that developed the airplane. Neither pilots nor the aircraft carrier skippers seemed to like it at all. Nevertheless, the Helldiver was faster than a Dauntless, and by the end of the Pacific War, the Helldiver had become the main dive bomber and attack aircraft for all the carriers. Ed's going to display this airplane for a couple more passes, so get those cameras ready. He'll set it up for a nice photo pass. Carefully on that pass, you'll see payload sticking half out of the rear of the aircraft. Just imagine as this thing comes down the groove, they call the ball, they get set up. They're ready for the landing. And here's the inbound. This airplane was actually injured in 1982. I mean, before that, I'm sure it was injured just even in hangar rash issues, but that being said, this particular aircraft experienced an engine failure and a hard emergency landing caused extensive damage to it. The volunteers of the commemorative Air Force put in thousands of hours and spent in excess of $200,000 in 1982 to restore this aircraft to the flying conditions. Hey, I got some takers. Come on up. I'm gonna get Pat to help me out, Brandon too. You have to assume the position. Ready? All right, hold that one end over there. You got it. Brandon, come around on my other side. Put this arm straight up like that. There you go. Oh, Pat's quick. All right, kids, come on up. We're going to shoot some now. Brandon and Pat are in charge of aiming. Please do quick stuff. Come back to me. There you go. Brandon came along to say hello. This is what we do. All right. I don't hear any kids in the field. Oh, there's one. All right, kids, you ready? Hands up. Make some noise. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was a pretty long one. All right, let's see what else we got. We got a little bit of time before the 25 come out, and Ritual here as well. All right, what do you think? Hands up. Make some noise. There you are. Get excited. What do you think, right? Here we go. Oh, it sounds like you can get it back in. All right, let's see what else we got. Ready? Just ground, nice. Brandon and Pat are doing excellent here. Exactly, don't spend the money. Alright, here we go. Nice! Alright, let's see. Whoever's got their hands up is who I'm aiming at. Who's got hands up? There we go. Nice hit! Trying that shit up for high school football there. That was pretty good. Let's see here. Oh, this time. That was like a bunk in baseball. All right. Now we're going to walk. Okay. Here we go. Hands up. Make some noise. Now, although the raid caused comparatively minor damage, demonstrated that the Japanese mainland was very vulnerable to American air attacks. The carrier raid against Japan held territory conducted in the first half of 42. Look at the bomb bay doors open. On the raid was sustained. Japanese military industrial park. Who will receive the Medal of Honor? So was promoted to 2 ranks in 30 years. It didn't work out. As aircraft have been extensively modified, including removal of the last one, but I'm seeing like that. Removal of the liaison radio and equipped the same weight-based aircraft. They also had to have additional gas in this engine. Go without them. How were they going to defend them? Left seater and a pilot right seater. In other words, the PI seat, the pilot command, and the other seater had a dead right ear. Now, Champagne Gal is out here, I believe. The aircraft is still doing. Little back to that comment I made earlier about that being a hot rod. When they are unloaded, they are really quick aircraft. Friendly spot, whether it was China or Soviet Union, and it depended on what was there to get to. The majority of the aircraft were lost. Many out of fuel.
It's gonna be close. Here he comes. He's coming right over behind you. So stand up and look, or turn around.
The demo flight program you are about to witness highlights the mobility, versatility, and power of the most lethal carrier.
Right over the treetop. He's turning.
The world. The aircraft Hornet today will be the Foxtron variant. That's the two-seat variant of the Super Hornet.
Oh, he's gonna be going fast.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Rhino demonstration team. Weapons Systems Officer Lieutenant Joseph. burning 60,000 pounds of fuel an hour. As a result, you may notice white pressure vapor being produced around the aircraft, indicating the version of speed of sound. Again, they're going to be approaching from the right. Doctors, get your cameras ready.
Cone light. 60,000 pounds.
All right, let's go ahead and check in with Java and Beta, see how fast they're going.
600.9. 6.8, break. 640 ground, 196. 660.
Be loud.
There goes Java and Beta into the abrupt pull under speed up with a vertical pirouette. They'll first pull the aircraft straight up into the vertical, roll the canopy towards the crowd, and then following it. From the left, vertical. pass. As it allows the Super Hornet to flush enemy aircraft out in front of it to then deploy follow-on weapons to command the fight. Let's go back to the cockpit for another speed check. All right, Java and Beta, how slow can you go?
We're set out for through 120 ground. 120 ground, 20 alpha.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the right, the Super Hornet photo pass.
Oh, wow, he's going.
Now, as part of our greatest show on turf here at Geneseo, we'll get blasted last week, Beach City Baby, and Distance 7 back on the ground here tonight. You might notice a B-51 traveling outbound. This particular aircraft, believe it or not, is qualified to do something very unique. Qualified to fly with the F-35 in just a short bit. So we get him here as well. You having fun here? Nice and warm? Thanks for coming out. Keep the bunch to us.
all them crab around. Remember that?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jim Beasley in front of us today. Give him a big wave as he goes by. He might just wave on back. There you go. And coming the opposite way as we recover the C-53 and the C-51 and the F-35. Remember, there's a bunch of years apart here. Here's Jim on the takeoff roll.
And I said to those kids, I said, you realize you only one kid tried 14. It's 17,
Great guy. He was a phenomenal here at Geneseo. Normally would be flying in this next time slot. It is this spot to fly.
Jeffrey Williams from Mobile, Alabama. As well as the Team Safety Observer and Combat Radio 35 pilot, Captain Dalton DJ Shield. DJ is a combat veteran fighter pilot with more than 340 hours of fighter aircraft and hails from San Antonio, Texas. As a member of the 3A Fighter Wing, better known as Phantom Agent, commanded by Colonel Charles Mellon, located in Hill Air Force Base in scenic North Utah, it is my distinct pleasure to describe for you today the capability demonstration of the world's most technologically advanced fifth-generation fighter, the F-35A Lightning II. The team commander and pilot for today's flight is Major Melanie You must maintain a clean profile by carrying your missiles and bombs internally. With an actual payload capacity of 6,000 pounds, the F-35A is the most lethal full-time fighter jet in the world. You're going for those bombs and missiles high. Here is your answer.
Hey, I'm seeing the Chevy with the butterfly door. There's a hand like me. Hey, I'm
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for Freedom's Thunder on the High Speed Pass. Big sharply. Press your seat, that's a 9G, 9 times before surrender. After completing the turn, horsepower strength to the vertical, although they can only change that. Look at number end, what we call the lightning lifting.
Donuts on the roof.
Ladies and gentlemen, the tactical pitch. In preparation for airplane, I'd like to give a shout out for expert maintainers that made today's demonstration possible. Our F-35 dedicated crew chiefs, Staff Sergeant Jesse Easley from Houston, Texas, Staff Sergeant Jacob Sackett from Geneseo Ny. Please go with me now and watch as the square formation approaches from behind the crowd for their final pass.
Geneseo. We fly airplanes almost until dark. Oh, we got some pigeons. We got some pigeons. Oh, good deal. Come on out. You know, we got those lights and put on with the food shop. Come on down. We're trying to this year. Your opportunity to see some rare airplanes flying together.